This Is Us viewers were not Miel's most diehard fans toward the beginning of the series. Notwithstanding, throughout the long term, fans have developed to cherish Rebecca's second husband, and they've even started to see the value in Miel and Rebecca's relationship. This Is Us Season 6 Episode 15 at long last gave individuals everything that they needed and told the total story of Miel, from beginning to end. We ultimately discover about Miel's past, his and Rebecca's love story, and what Miel's future with Rebecca looks like as her illness worsens and he grows older alongside her. We barely got a peek of how Miel became a part of Rebecca's post-Jack world over the course of 5 seasons of This Is Us. He's always been a fringe figure, even as Jack's best friend. He's been given more screen time in this final season, with a pivotal moment occurring during the Thanksgiving episode, when he and Rebecca confess their feelings for one another before he moved to Texas to be closer to his family. The complete Miel tale has been teased all year, and fans will finally see things that will make it easier to support for Miel and Rebecca's love in the shadow of Jack Pearson. Tonight's show lived up to those expectations, since it was all about Miel, as the episode title Miel suggests. Miel met Jack while suit shopping. He hated himself for his divorce. His grown children were not thrilled when he began dating Rebecca, and he and Randall connected at Kate's wedding, according to the pre-episode recap. The show then took us through Miel's life at various times. We ultimately get to know Miel towards the end of the winding road, and he is a man who deserves to be more than a bystander. This is his account. A flashback to a night when Miel meets Jack and Rebecca in a bar during the young couple's courting days is significant to the episode plot. Miel is apprehensive because Rebecca dislikes him, and Rebecca appears irritated upon his arrival. But Jack finds an excuse to leave Miel and Rebecca alone together, in a not-so-subtle parent trap. They eventually break the ice, and Rebecca warmly inquires about his background. "I don't know, but it's a nice question. Ask me again later," he says, echoing something his father once said. His tale, on the other hand, is told throughout the show, and it involves him and Rebecca meeting that night and forming a friendship as Jack's favorite people. That is where his story about Rebecca begins. His personal biography, though, begins when he is a small child in Puerto Rico. Miel grew up in Puerto Rico, where he enjoyed playing baseball with his buddies. However, Miel's father relocates the family to America, to Pennsylvania, in order to pursue new employment. Miel learns English partly through the radio once he arrives, while watching a game featuring Miel's favorite player, Roberto Clemente, of the Pittsburgh Pirates baseball team. A man with whom Miel's father works tells Miel about the greatest seats in the baseball stadium, saying that where you sit is all that matters. This appears to be a source of aspiration for Miel, and Miel attempts to realize that dream. The best example is when he finds a good job as an adult by applying under the name Mike Rivers rather than Miel Rivas. His prosperous career appears to have taken him away from his Puerto Rican roots, as he doesn't appear to see his family very often, and when he does, he admits to straightening his hair so he doesn't look like he just stepped off the boat. This irritates his family, and his father is even more irritated when Miel begs his mother to allow him hire a caretaker for his ailing aunt because he has the funds. Miel's father chastises him for flashing money and talking about projecting success, as if he had forgotten his roots. Miel is irritated by the fact that his father split him in half by taking him from Puerto Rico to America and pressuring him to fit in, so he wonders how his father could be dissatisfied that he's accepted his new life and is succeeding. At this point, his father says the sentence Miel spoke to Rebecca in the pub. Miel storms out, to his mother's dismay. Another mother-son connection, like Jack's, appeared to be tainted by issues between father and son. It's a tragedy. Miel's father, however, dies first, contrary to Jack's experience. Miel's mother reminds him that his father died proud of him in a poignant moment, and Miel then compliments his mother on how selflessly hard she works to care for her unwell sister. Love is offering your heart without expecting anything in return, his mother adds simply. Miel doesn't believe he has that type of love in him and feels adrift during a time when his connection with his family is in shambles. His mother promises him that he will find his path and that he will find someone to love once more. Miel sees Rebecca's Facebook status, product placement, anyone, and messages her to catch up. It's been 8 years since they last spoke on Thanksgiving night. Miel's journey with his first wife Shelley is intertwined with his story. When Jack and Rebecca encourage him to get up and flirt with her, he meets her at a bar. Miel recommends that they have a kid in the future. They appear to be in good spirits. Then he gets home late one night, and he and Shelley fight. their 2 children watching from the stairwell in agony. Jack arrives home early enough, according to Shelley, to spend time with his family. Miel claims he isn't Jack, to which Shelley responds, "You certainly aren't." Miel had always been in Jack's love shadow, even before he married his wife. Every man in Jack's life seemed to have been harmed by the standard he set. Is this the cost of being so incredibly good? Miel's marriage, in any case, falls apart. His relationship with his children suffers as a result of that, or at least his son. Even though he leaves an almost romance with Rebecca behind to be closer to his children, we witness multiple phone calls go unanswered, indicating that they do not re-embrace him in their lives. He does, however, receive a second shot with Rebecca 8 years later. Following Miel's initial communication to Rebecca, the two remain in continuous contact. Miel opens up after some awkwardness when they meet in person one evening. He claims he never felt at home since he was torn between his Puerto Rican Spanish and American English identities, but the first time he missed Rebecca was after he left. Rebecca kisses him at that point, and the romance officially begins. Miel brings Jack's memories, one morning in bed. Rebecca feels Jack would want the best for them and recalls how he once left them alone in a pub until they made friends, which she finds amusing. The youngsters are taken aback when they tell the big three about their relationship on Thanksgiving. Kate eventually offers her support, and Randall does as well. But Kevin is enraged, albeit his rage contrasts with something he does in the future. In this episode, time continues to march forward following Kate's wedding. We observe an elderly Miel going through the motions of caring for Rebecca, who is plainly deteriorating. He rises before Rebecca, makes coffee, prepares her medication, supervises her physical therapy, and dismisses the nurse's attempts to take command. In the midst of all of this, his doctor is concerned about his blood pressure, shortness of breath, and other symptoms. Miel appears to be forsaking sleep for his Rebecca habit, acting as the selfless caretaker his mother did for his aunt. Miel wakes up one night to find Rebecca whirling in the snow. He stumbles and falls hard on his back while ministering to her. Miel is able to rise and bring them both inside, although he is plainly injured. The big tree tells Miel that they want a full-time nurse for Rebecca during a subsequent Thanksgiving feast, after seeing Rebecca's distress when Miel leaves her side and learning about his fall. Miel is enraged, claiming that Rebecca doesn't get along with strangers, and that he made a commitment not to disappoint her, as he did his parents, wife, and children. He hasn't seen his son in 5 years, given his son's contempt for him. The big three reassure him that he has more than fulfilled his commitments, lavishing him with praise and affection, while emphasizing that all they want to do is assist him. Miel eventually gives in and allows a nurse to care for both himself and Rebecca. Kevin then makes a big gesture in Miel's honor. He pays a visit to Miel's son, warning him that Miel may not have much time left and that he should not leave anything unfinished. Miel's son eventually moves in with the Pearsons for Christmas that year, much to Miel's delight. Miel dies soon after. The family meets lovingly to scatter part of his ashes at the base of the tree he planted for Rebecca as a symbol of hope when her illness began. The gesture is, at long last, a display of support for Miel and Rebecca's love from the big three. Miel's Kevin and Miel's son then travel to Puerto Rico to scatter the remaining ashes on Miel's boyhood baseball diamond, where his narrative began. In the end, it was a lovely tale. As we approach the show's final 3 episodes, if it was Miel's farewell, he will be missed as any Pearson should be.